creature like that, how would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Oh, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. Horrible. Look like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.
Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome. And yet again, we've come to another Sunday evening with your favorite paranormal investigator. Welcome in, everybody. How about some sound effects? Should we? Yeah. Welcome. Yeah, it seems a little louder than normal today. Let's turn that down just a little bit. Yeah, just a little louder. It happens. It's all right. Any hoots and hollers? Welcome in, everybody. We are doing season 2, episode 17 of Beyond the Shadows podcast, where we dive into the paranormal, the mysterious, and find out whether these cases are really paranormal or if they're really junk. It's really hard to do this opener and not sound like a very specific other podcast because it's a good premise and it's the same structural bare bones as what they use. So it's Any hoots and hollers. Welcome in, everybody. I got word from Ann and Paul this week. They are currently being held in an underground bunker near Area 51. May or may not be inside the perimeter of Area 51. But they are being thoroughly tested upon, and they will be back before you know it. Government, they like to really dive in and learn every single thing they can when they're what we're looking for, researching and investigating on aliens. So they've got them. They're in a cryogenic tube at the moment, and they were able to smuggle me out a letter from Area 51, or the bunker underneath Area 51, to let me know they're doing okay. So make sure if you're thinking about them, think about them. Paranormal happenings. Not much going on. First thing out of the gate I can tell you is we've got an American Pope. Hopefully they're not going to use AI to make his hands look a certain way. Just saying. If you watch the end of this month when we do our rapid fire episode, we will have some videos about the previous Pope, and we're pretty sure his last few public appearances were AI generated. So, something to think about. That being said, welcome in, everybody. I've said it once, I'll say it again. This is season 2, episode 17 of Beyond the Shadows podcast. Tonight we are covering, I know last week we said UFO. This dry erase board did say UFO or aliens on it last week. However, something came up, and I remembered this, and I thought it would make a really good episode. This might be a 2-parter. I have, geez, how many pages of research do I have? 26 pages of research. So like last week, we ran exactly 2 hours last week, and I think I had 12 or 14 pages of research. So this might be a 2-parter. We'll see what happens at the 2-hour mark. See what it looks like. I don't want to just blow through it and skip over details. So we're going to continue as normal, and we're going to talk about the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass, a phenomenally complex and mysterious happening. I've heard 3 or 4 different, like, really good tellings of this story, and like one was okay, two of them were really, really good, and I'm hoping that my research is up to par with the two really good ones because there's so many little details and there's so much information out there about this. It's hard to tell precisely what is real and what's not. So, um, you know, I'm going to give it a good shake, a good firm shake, and we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to see if we're going to decide if this is really something paranormal or something absolutely crazy happened, or if it was just a fluke disaster that cost some people their lives. Um, so I will have so occasionally I'm going to switch between this scene and a different one, and we're going to show a slideshow of some images from the geez, it's hard to say. All right, so there was one guy in this who his job was a photographer, and we have his last roll of film that he shot. That's all I'm gonna say. But when we get to it, we'll start showing those pictures, and we'll kind of flip back and forth between pictures and this full screen mode here. I will say we have speech chat is up. I think we've got it fixed. Let me give it a test. See if it actually comes through this time. I think it was just like some. Oh my gosh! Could you hear that? I heard it. Oh, it's so quiet. Anyway, let's see. I'll open it on the desktop. So that way it'll come through. I think the only reason you heard it because it's so loud in my headphones. One last time to test it.
Test.
There it is. That's it. That's it. We've got it. We're back. We're good. We're golden. All right. So we are going to talk about the Dyatlov Pass. Holy mysterious mysteries. Mysterious mysteries. So get ready for some shenanigans. But without further ado, you know what time it is. It's t-shirt time. All right. So, audience, look down at your shirt. What shirt are you wearing today? Is it as cool as mine? Behold, Cartoon Network. Is it as cool as mine? Doubt it. Get this one. Five Below. Awesome job. Great job. They really they're stepping up their t-shirt game, making things extra good. So, so we've covered that Paul and Aeon are in a bunker being tested upon, and they'll be back before you know it. We've done t-shirts. What else do we got? I think that's really about it. Speech chat is up and running. So if we get some viewers come in and they want to say hello, they can say hello. I'm actually going to keep speech chat open, but I'm going to keep it muted so I can watch the traffic. All right. Bibbidi. Season 2, episode 17. Is that what I said? Wait, I need to do some quick math. I keep forgetting to sit down and really do this. I need to look at the podcast YouTube channel. All right, season 1 we have 30 episodes. Season 2 this is episode 17. Oh no, so this will make episode 16. I missed one somewhere. Oh no. Or maybe last week's didn't get uploaded into the playlist. Anyway, this should be the 17th episode of season 2. 17 plus 30, it's 47. We have 3 episodes away from 50 episodes. 50. And if you think about it, so what we say? 47. So 5 episodes away from be doing this for a year. What? 52 weeks straight. We did take 1 week off there for the holidays. No, so I guess it's not 52 weeks straight. Anyway, talk about that when we get there. Let's check the YouTube channel. Let's make sure see if we get any new followers this week. Yes, we are up. Wow, we just jumped up like crazy. We are up to almost 3,000 views, up 8 subscribers to the YouTube channel, almost to 200 subscribers. Awesome. We're doing great. The YouTube channel is doing so much better than Twitch. Nobody watches on Twitch. But, yeah, it's either here or there. It's fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Not really. So, we're going to get into it. The Dyatlov Pass. Right here, right now. And, oh, wait, before we get started, I want to say, if you're listening to this Tuesday or watching it on Tuesday, because, we upload audio and video to YouTube and Spotify, be aware that Sunday evenings and it's 5 p.m. Eastern time. This channel goes live on Twitch, where you can watch the podcast live and see what we see live. It's twitch.tv/Beyond the Shadows Podcast. Beyond the Shadows Podcast. Twitch.tv. So, without further ado, we're going to get into it. Let me set the mood. Hold on. Here we go. It begins with silence. A white, frozen expanse at the edge of Soviet wilderness, towering peaks, icy winds that scream across the mountains. A place untouched, unsympathetic, and unrelenting. And 9 bodies scattered, mutilated, half-dressed in sub-zero temperatures. Some with crushed ribs, one with her tongue out. Their tent slashed open from the inside. Footprints leading away into the snow, barefoot, in the dead of winter. No one knows what they fled. No one knows what they saw. No one has ever returned from the Dyatlov Pass. Welcome to Beyond the Shadows. I am your host, and tonight we will journey into one of the most chilling and confounding mysteries of the 20th centuries. A mystery steeped in snow and silence. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. It was 1959, the heart of the Soviet Union, an age of suspicion, control, space races, atomic secrets, and paranoia wrapped in red banners and ice. In the middle of it all, a group of young hikers, experienced, disciplined, and intelligent, set off into the Ural Mountains. They were students, engineers, athletes, comrades bound by a love of the wilderness, of challenge, and perhaps something deeper, an urge to escape the gray conformity of the cities and find themselves in nature. However, they would never return. The disappearance triggered one of the most extensive search and rescue efforts in Soviet history. And what was found in the days and weeks that followed would ignite a firestorm of speculation, terror, and mystery that is yet to be extinguished over 60 years later. Avalanches, secret weapons, infrasound, paradoxal undressing, indigenous attacks, military cover-ups, yetis, aliens, time warps, radiation. All of these have been offered as explanations, yet none of them fit. So tonight, we go deeper, past the headlines, past the speculation, into the snow-covered journals, the autopsy reports, the photographs, and the weather patterns, in the psyches of the 9 doomed souls who vanished into the slopes of the Kolat Sakal, the Dead Mountain. This is their story. Oh, good. The backing audio track ended right when I finished. That was good. That was good. Wonderful writing. Excellent writing. So for segment 1, we're going to talk about what are canonically known as the Dyatlov 9. So I need this mouse over here so I can have 4 computers, 1, 2, 3, 4 computers, 2 tablets, and a Chromebook running, all to make this podcast work. 1, 2, 3, 4 mice. Oh my gosh. So I need to figure out how to pronounce this appropriately. I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. I'm calling it Ural. Ural. Let's see what Google Translate says. Ural. Okay, Ural. I call it Ural. Ural. 9 students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute in all these Russian names. I'm gonna keep this translate open so I can oh geez. Bear with me today, folks. Sverdlovsk. Okay, that's 1. Sverdlovsk. And Katerinburg. Okay, that's about what I was expecting. 9 students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute in Sverdlovsk, today known as Yekaterinburg. Bright minds, passionate outdoorsmen and women, hardened by the cold and animated by ambition. They were all experienced in long-distance skiing expeditions, and this trip would have earned them the highest certification for Soviet hikers, grade 3. Let's meet them, every single one of them. First is Igor Dyatlov, where we get the name of the pass from. He was 23 years old, the leader, a radio technical engineer student, quiet, thoughtful, and brilliant. He was known for his steady hand and clear head, especially when things went wrong. Dyatlov was meticulous, keeping detailed journals and maps. He had designed a radio transmitter for previous expeditions, a natural leader respected by all, and this journey would forever bear his name. Oh, jeez. I'm just going to give these... I'm going to do my best. I was going to give them extra names, but... Zeneda Kolmogrova, 22, energetic, sharp-witted, known for her courage and tenacity. Zina had previously skied over 500 kilometers in freezing conditions. She had a sense of humor and a strong moral core. Her letters home painted vivid pictures of life on the trail, always ending in love. Yuri Doroshenko, 21, tall, athletic, fearless to the point of recklessness. Once he confronted a bear with nothing but a geologist's hammer. For anybody wondering, a geologist hammer is like this big. It's like 6 inches long. So kudos to this guy. Known for his intensity and deep convictions, he previously dated Xena. And though they had separated, they remained friends. Oh, geez, I swear this whole script is going to be testing my ability to just tell this story. Um, Lyudmila Dubinina. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible. If there's people from Russia listening, I'm sorry. I am sorry. Lyudmila. We'll call that Lyudmila. A civil engineer student, small but strong-willed, endured a rifle accident on a previous hike and pushed through with remarkable stoicism. She kept journals full of reflections on life, politics, and the brutality of winter. She was deeply loyal to her friends, one of the most mysterious cases in this tragedy. Alexander Kolevatov, 24, a quiet, serious man, studied nuclear physics and once worked in a secret Soviet institute. His background had fueled countless conspiracy theories, but those who knew him described him as a methodical, thoughtful companion. Rustem Slobodin, a long-distance runner and engineering graduate, calm, collected, logical mind. He loved poetry, especially Pushkin, and often quoted lines around the fire. In many ways, the spiritual compass of the group. Nikolai, of the French Russian heritage, a charismatic, charming man with sharp intellect. He had been born into a family of scientists known for his strength, both physical and moral. He was popular among fellow students and one of the more experienced skiers of the group. Yuri, I'm not even going to try to pronounce Yuri's last name. Yuri K, 24, nicknamed Gregory, a jokester, musician, and joker. He had worked at the Mayak nuclear facility during the Kishtim disaster. I don't know this one. The worst nuclear accident before Chernobyl. Okay, that makes sense. A fact that would later raise troubling questions. And lastly, Yuri Yudin, 21, the 10th member, the lucky one, the survivor. Days before the group entered the pass, Yudin fell ill and turned back. He would later spend his life haunted by the question, why did I live? These weren't thrill seekers or naive explorers. They were experts. They knew the terrain, they knew the risks, and how to prepare for them. They carried skis, tents, warm clothing, food supplies, compasses, maps, diaries, and even cameras. What they could not prepare for was what awaited them on the slopes of Dead Mountain. Oh, wait, here we go. Let me do it again. Dead Mountain. That's right. That's how that's done. Hold, please. Finding a beverage. More in here somewhere. I should have put this in front of me. All right, for the turnaround. A fresh sixer of Voodoo Ranger. Alrighty. So, I'm going to pull out the obvious here. We have two people in this group who are previous employees of something nuclear related. So this was 1950s. So we're talking like during the Red Scare kind of thing. This is back in in the 50s. In America, we were concerned with invading Russians and afraid of Russian spies and all this stuff. So a lot of individuals that worked in the nuclear world that did not want to be part of the nuclear world got out. So I see how two of these people, they had previously worked in the nuclear facilities but they did not let that define them. They got out, and probably the only way they were able to get away and have any semblance of a normal life was they dropped off the map like this. This would explain why you have two of these guys that have very valuable and, oh geez, how do I want to put this, sought after skills that the Soviet Union was looking for. They got out and then decided to live in the countryside. So you see, they probably just didn't want to get tied up in this Soviet stuff. So they decided to become professional skiers, hikers, or drop off the map and just continue with passion of theirs. But it does raise suspicion because you've got two people that worked at nuclear facilities, one of which worked at a nuclear facility which was considered the worst nuclear disaster before the Chernobyl event. You know what? Let's look it up, because this is one that I've never heard of before. What is it? The Mayak? Mayak nuclear disaster. Also known as, or the Kishtim nuclear disaster, excuse me. He worked at the Mayak nuclear facility, but it was the Kishtim disaster. Sometimes referred to as the Mayak disaster or the Ozyrsk disaster. A radioactive contamination accident which occurred in the 29th of September of 1957 at Mayak, a plutonium reprocessing production plant for nuclear weapons located in the closed city of Chelyabinsk, somewhere in Russia. The disaster was the second worst nuclear incident by radioactivity released after the Chernobyl incident, and was regarded as the worst nuclear disaster in the history until Chernobyl. It is the only disaster classified as level 6 in the International Nuclear Event Scale, INES, and it is the third nuclear disaster by population impact after the two level 7 events, Chernobyl and Fukushima. Wow. So this is the third worst nuclear accident in the history of nuclear accidents. And this guy used to work at one of them. So it's a little sus. I'm not going to lie. It is a little sus that you got one guy who's what was he, an astrophysicist, particle physicist? Where'd he go? I'm looking. So Alexander Kolevatov studied nuclear physics, once worked at a Soviet institute. His background has fueled countless conspiracy theories. So he, a nuclear physicist and a guy who previously had worked at one of the nuclear plutonium enrichment plant, and it went and melted down, but he used to work there. So interesting. We have two people that have worked with nuclear stuff on the same trip here. It is suspicious, not gonna lie, especially during the 50s, during the Red Scare. Yeah, the Soviet era was a weird time in history. So in early January of 1959, the group began their journey by train, full of hope and laughter. Black and white photos from those early days showing smiling faces, arms around each other's, skis on their backs, ready for another challenge in the wilderness. This is a good time. Let's pull up some photos. Let's I got some photos here. Oh, those are dead bodies. We have some early photos here. Yeah, check these guys out. Let's look at these guys. They're happy go lucky. They sang songs, played guitars, kept meticulous journals, and snapped photos to document each moment. From Sverdlovsk, they traveled north by train, then truck, then on foot, deep into the wilderness of the Urals. Where are the Ural Mountains? I don't even know. I'm curious, can we find the Dyatlov Pass on Google Maps? Yep. Yep. Now you've seen it. You know where I live. Oh, yeah, we can. There it is. Let's look at, let's change these layers. Interesting. It's just a trail now. Oh, but geez, it is out there in the middle of freaking nowhere. Oh my God. Here's your closest road. I don't think Jesus. That is out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, cool. So there is why on earth would they go all the way out here? I mean, literally out away from everything. I'm curious what this there's a memorial here. So we're gonna zoom in. Dyatlov Pass Incident Memorial. Oh, is this a video? Wow. I'm amazed that they got there with one, two, three, five four-wheelers in a little four-wheel drive vehicle and a drone of all things. Wonderful. Wonderful photos. Wonderful photos. Geez, yeah, this really, the picture of the snow really kind of gives it some depth there, doesn't it? There's the plaque. Oh, wow. That's kind of eerie. It really is. Okay, cool. Let's translate this. Let's see what it says. I want to know what it says. Under this pass on the southern night of February 2, 1959, UPI tourists died. It gives a list of their names. In memory of the departed and not taking any away, we called this pass named after Dr. Dyatlov. There were 9 of them. Interesting. That's cool. It's very yeah, it's very Soviet. This like sculpture of the face is very Soviet of them. It's just another drone video. Oh yeah, check it out. Kudos to these guys for taking a drone out there. Oh my God, look how open that is. I could never imagine being in a place like that. It just goes and goes and goes. Wow. Yeah, check these guys out. Way to go. You made it. Hey, that's nice of them. They put flowers out there. Lots of people taking photos with the plaque. it's interesting how polarized it is um between spring and summertime where oh wow, what a statue. It, it's I mean, geez, a kid out there now. Surely it's not that difficult to get out there now, but between spring and winter, it seems like it's really just totally different. Oh my gosh, yeah. All right, so keep these pictures in mind, like the snow pictures, because this is gonna be prevalent later on in the telling. Just wow, yeah, cool. This is really cool. The sculpture is really eerie, really eerie. It's cool that these guys are putting flowers out there. That really is remembering people. Remember those that have passed is really heartfelt to me. Uh, yeah, look, it's like totally different from. All right, so there's, I'm guessing summertime. That's August, January. Totally different environment. Oh my gosh. Wow, it's just wild. Absolutely wild. Okay, let's get back into it. I'm rambling too much. So those are your Google Maps photos of the Dyatlov Pass. Um, their destination. So they traveled north by train, then truck, then on foot deep into the wilderness of the Urals. Their destination, Otortin Mountain, a desolate peak whose name in the indigenous Mansi language means, quote, "Don't go there." Just saying. They should have listened. The path would take them through forests and over icy rivers, eventually climbing through snow covered ridgelines into the white void. As they climbed, the group grew quieter. Journals describe sudden changes in the weather, a sense of unease, but also camaraderie and resilience. They were making good time, and spirits were still high. Then on February 1st, they made a fateful decision. The storm had pushed them slightly off course. Rather than descend and realign, they chose to camp on the eastern slope of Kolat Mountain, the Dead Mountain. They set up their tent and dug into the snow and made their final journal entries. That night, something happened. Ooh, hold on, this is a good part for backing tracks. Something happened. Something that shattered the tent from the inside. Something that sent 9 people fleeing into the darkness without shoes, without coats. Something that crushed bones and removed tongues and left bodies frozen mid-road. What was it? Next, we're going to retrace their final step and uncover what was found at the mountaintop. We gave up. It's dead. January 23rd, 1959. A cold wind curls around the rust-colored bricks of Sverdlovsk. 10 students gather at Ural Polytechnic Institute with heavy backpacks and heavier coats, preparing them to embark on what should have been the trip of their lifetime. A ski expedition begins into the Ural Mountains to test their endurance and earn them the grade 3 hiking certification. They laugh, they pose for photographs, smoke cigarettes. But this is only the beginning. We're going to jump back just a little tiny bit, give a little more about their travel. January 25 in 1959, the group boards a train bound for Ivdel, small town near the edge of the wilderness. Packed into a third-class carriage, they spend the night playing cards, singing folk songs, and scribbling in their journals. The camaraderie is strong. bonds have formed. Uh, Xena writes in her diary, quote, "We are terribly crowded. Everything is falling out of place, but we laugh. It's fun." End quote. From Ivdale, they transferred a smaller train to the village of Sirov, then a truck to Visay, the last inhabited settlement before the wilderness. 2 days later, the group rests, eats, and writes postcards. Igor pens one to the sports club at the university. Quote, "We're heading out tomorrow. The weather is cold but clear. Spirits are high. Expected to return by the 12th." That date would soon become critical. In Visay, Yuri Yudin, the 10th member, becomes visibly unwell. Years later, he would describe the gnawing pain in his joints and lingering stomach condition. After careful discussion, Dyatlov makes the call. Yudin should stay behind. However, it is a heartbreaking moment. Yudin waves goodbye as the 9 remaining hikers disappear into the forest. He is the last person to see them alive. January 28th, the group begins their ski trek. They follow the Asiupia River, weaving through the dense pine forest and frozen streams. They pitch their tents in the snow. The journals from this period remain cheerful. They joke about the cold, about missing bread, and about how Lyudmila refuses to share her mittens. Really? That's all we're worried about? Photos show them bundled in furs and scarves, smiling, relaxed. Nikolai is caught in a rare, candid photo mid-laugh. Doroshenko is carving a path through the trees. Zenaida looks into the camera, serious but sincere. Do I have that photo? Let me see if I got this one. Oh, that might have been it. Hold on. Hey, here we go. Laughing photos. They are strong, capable. This isn't their first expedition, but something shifts. January 31. The forest thins. They reach the base of Kolatsakyol, the quote, dead mountain. A bleak, exposed landscape stretches before them, visibly drops. Wind increases, the snow deepens. They cache supplies, food, extra clothing, equipment in a safe spot marked by skis. They plan to retrieve it on their return journey. It's smart. It's a smart and calculated move. So what they're doing is they know that what they are coming up against is getting ready to get really harsh. So they decide to unpack some of their stuff and then bury it and mark it with some skis. So on their return trip, they will have fresh supplies, fresh equipment that they can use for the return trip. Like the script says here, it's a smart, calculated move. Then they begin their final ascent. So on the next day, February 1, they travel further up the slope, but worsening weather throws them off course. Instead of continuing toward Otorten, they drift west, climbing the side of Dead Mountain. Why do they continue? Some speculate Dyatlov did want to lose altitude. Others believe they simply didn't realize how far they had veered. Whatever reason, they stop around 5 p.m. and make a camp on the slope. This decision puzzles many. They could have descended into the forest just 1.5 kilometers away, where shelter and firewood awaited, but they chose to remain exposed high on the mountain. Yudin would later say, quote, Igor probably didn't want to lose the altitude they had gained. It was a test of will. It was a test of endurance, end quote. So it seems like they kept themselves in more of the harsher landscape just because they were trying to prove themselves. So this is, I guess it's kind of what we come to expect. These were Russian folks, young Russian folks that really, really wanted to prove themselves as this was the expedition that would give them the level 3 like skier certification, so it would make them a pretty high up there, just high as you can go in certifications. That is. The tent is pitched on a slight incline. They dig into the snow to anchor it. Inside, the nine huddle together, preparing for a frigid night. They cook dinner. Diaries note a meal of sliced fat, biscuits, and sugar. At 9 p.m., they settle in. The last photograph taken shows them smiling inside the tent, bundled in layers, heads poking from sleeping bags. Do we have that? I don't know if we have that. Let me. No, I don't guess we do. Well, I'm going to start this slideshow. I'm going to let it run. Oh, it has music. Oh, we don't want music. It is the last time anyone sees them alive. Here we go. About to get deep, everybody. Buckle up. What happens next remains a mystery to this day. There are no witnesses, no clear signs, only what was found weeks later, frozen in place. What we do know is this. Sometime during the night, the hikers, seasoned, rational, and intelligent, ripped open their tent from the inside and fled into the darkness, without shoes, without coats. Some only in their underwear, ran into the howling wind and temperatures that dropped to negative 30 degrees Celsius. But why? Were they chased, attacked? Were they hallucinating? Terrified by something we cannot understand? The answers, if any, were buried in the snow. On February 12th, back in Sverdlovsk, no word had come. Friends and family begin to worry. The university initiates a search. Days pass, then weeks. Helicopters, planes, and search teams are dispatched into the frozen north. And then a tent is found. February 26, 1959, a rescue team spots the collapsed tent on the slope of Kholat Salak, Siakol, the dead mountain. Partially buried in snow, flapping in the wind. One side has been slashed open from the inside. Their gear, boots, jackets, and food still inside, as if they had left in the middle of a panic. A trail of footprints, bare, socked, and one in a single boot leads away from the tent downward to the tree line. Investigators follow it. What they find will shock them. The slope of the dead mountain is lifeless, silent. The snow stretches in every direction, white and unbroken, like the surface of a dead world. Then the silence cracks. A shout! A rescue team has found something. Half buried in the snow at the edge of the wind-blasted ridge is a tent, torn open from the inside. The contents, neatly arranged boots, clothes, maps, journals, still lie within untouched. There are no bodies, no blood, only footprints leading away. Just absence. The investigators follow the trail down the slope, through wind drifts, through snow drifts, and frozen patches into the tree line, where the wind no longer screams, where the shadows lengthen. And there, beneath the tall cedar tree, they find the first two bodies. Yuri and Gregory are both barefoot, wearing only underclothes, skin brown from the cold exposure. Their hands are shredded, torn from clawing at the bark of a cedar above them. And they fire had been lit nearby, now long extinguished. Broken branches high in the tree suggest one of them may have climbed, either to safety or to look back at something on the slope. But what? Investigators spread out. Three more bodies are found between the cedar tree and the tent. Igor, face frozen in determination. His hands are clenched. He's lying on his back, headed toward the tent as if he died trying to return. Zena, lying in the snow, arms outstretched. Her body, too, is facing the tent like Igor. She was trying to get back. Rustem Slobodin, face down, a fractured skull, but not enough to kill him. He walked over 500 feet in sub-zero temperatures with no shoes and minimal clothing. All three of them seemed to have died of hypothermia, but the way they were spread out, staggered, in a line, suggests something else. Desperation, disorientation, panic. And then, nothing. Weeks pass. 4 bodies remain missing, and snow falls. The ground hardens, the world waits. And on May 4th of 1959, the spring melt begins. Searchers dig deeper into the ravine near the cedar tree. It's nearly 4 meters below the surface, and what they find there changes everything. 4 more bodies lying together in a shallow stream bed. More clothed than the others. Perhaps they survived longer or took clothes from the dead. But their injuries are far more severe. This is where things start to get really crazy. Lyudmila had ribs shattered. Her tongue was missing. Eyes were gone. Facial tissue destroyed, yet no external trauma. No bruises or abrasions to match the internal injuries. Nikolai had a fractured skull. The force required would be comparable to a car crash, but no soft tissue damage, no bruises, as if the blows came from a pressure, one that crushed his bones without piercing. Semyon had massive chest trauma, ribs broken, internal hemorrhaging, again, no external wounds. He was wearing 2 watches and both had stopped at 8:45. Alexander, less visible trauma, but his body was contorted unnaturally. His neck twisted. The Soviet autopsy reports described his injuries as resembling those of a high-speed car accident. Yet there are no tracks, no animals, no signs of a landslide, nothing. Even more bizarre, traces of radioactive contamination are found on some of the victims' clothing, especially Koronchenko and Zolotar. These Russian names are killing me. Zolotaryov. The initial cause listed for most, hypothermia, but that hardly explains what was found. The families are horrified. The press whispers. The state goes silent. The Soviet authorities quickly closed the case. Their final report, the hikers are met with, quote, the hikers are met with a compelling natural force they were unable to overcome, end quote. No further explanation, no follow-up investigation. The case is quietly buried along with the victims. But rumors don't die so easily. Whispers of strange lights in the sky, military tests, infrasound, indigenous attacks, alien encounters, something ancient, something classified. The Dyatlov Pass becomes a legend, and for decades the question has remained. What caused 9 young, intelligent, well-prepared hikers to flee their shelter and run into the frozen dark, only to die in scattered, violent, inexplicable ways? We are about to explore the theories, rational and otherwise, and confront the chilling possibilities that they might lie just beyond the edge of reason. Just beyond the point where common sense has no meaning. Often referred to as the Twilight Zone. No, I'm joking. That wasn't in the script. I just got to add it. But we're up to part 4. Part 4. Oh my gosh. So let's recap. So 9 hikers. Well, 10 start off. 10 start off together. These 9 hikers leave one behind because he's unwell. And when I say that these guys are experienced, they are experienced. They're about as experienced as you can be. Let me pull up these photos. I want you to see the more violent photos. So there are some photos. Let me give a little trigger warning here. There are some photos here that are a little graphic, but bear with me. So trigger warning, everybody. Check this out. This is a photo of what remained of their tent. Yeah, it's hard to really piece together what happened here. So initially, I'm seeing lots and lots of fabric here. So we're dealing with, this is their tent, all of their gear. So if I know enough about like extreme weather hiking and traversing to know that you don't sleep in your gear. Because when you're sleeping and you wear heavy boots and heavy pants and heavy coats, it will cut off circulation to your body, and then you get cold. And that's when things start to get bad for you. That's when you wake up with frozen parts of your body. So at night, what they did is all 9 of them got out of their gear, folded it up, and huddled together for body warmth. This is a normal thing. So what we're looking at here is 9 people's gear, clothing, boots, skiing equipment, plus a tent. But I want to say, look at this. Like broken ski poles. So like, how did this one get broken and buried? This one's upside down? Like, come on, explain that. Like, how did this one get turned upside down and broken, buried in the snow, but less than 2 feet away? I've seen some ski poles that look like they just fell over. I don't know. This is a little weird. I'm not sure who these people are. I'm under the impression that this is probably them. All right, so here's them skiing. So this is cross-country skiing. This is not what you think about when you think of skiing. Most people, when they think of skiing, they're downhill, cruising, dipping and diving, doing their thing. This is cross-country skiing, where instead of stepping into the snow, you're using your skis to slide across the surface, but you're using the ski poles to kind of push you forward. So all you're doing is this over and over again, and then your feet are doing the same thing. Think of old school Nordic track. This is the motion that they're doing, and the trick is they're using the skis and the ski poles to move along the surface of the snow, which is usually soft and deep, because if you just stepped on it, you would sink. So keep that in mind. Here's some pictures of them just, off, backpacks are off, skis are off. You see how deep they sank not having their skis on. Geez, he's up to his waist. All right, so here's another picture. I'm assuming this is the search party. They still have the skis stuck in the snow. What remains of the tent, parts of it are still standing, but it's partially buried in snow. Looking at like the snow here in the middle, it's almost like the snow is drug over the top of the tent. It's really interesting. And these are more pictures of them. All right, so here is unfortunately this is one of the non-living persons. It's really weird. It almost looks like he froze like mid-stride. -30 Celsius. Hey Google. Hey Google. Really? You're not going to listen to me the one time I need you? Convert 30 degrees negative Celsius to Fahrenheit.
That's an easy one. 30 text degree C is equal to 86 text degree F.
Fail.
The formula to convert Celsius.
Convert -30 Celsius to Fahrenheit.
All right, let's do that conversion for you.
That's
Using the same
negative
formula,
-22 degrees Fahrenheit.
So it's 30.
That is cold, cold. I have never felt that before. The coldest I have felt was like -9. And that was back when I lived near the Great Lakes in my youth. And it was cold enough that it was the year that I bought, or I didn't buy it, but my dad bought it for me. Was it a Vio CD player? No, it wasn't Vio. Oh, geez, it was the 90s. 90s portable CD player. Oh gosh, there it is. Yeah, it was the Discman. So I had this one. This is what I had. I had a Sony Discman. So if you look on the front of this, there's a little tiny screen right here. And I remember my dad bought this for me. And he told me, don't take it to school because I know you're gonna break it. You're gonna ruin it. Because back in the day, so let's see what this cost in 1990. Ooh, in 1990, the Sony Discman D191 portable CD player likely cost around $200 to $250. Earlier models in the 90s generally cost between $300 and $400. So my dad bought me this. I did not realize how expensive it was. Shame on me. So I had this, and it was cold enough that this LCD display down here, the very front, it's just a little tiny LCD display, no bigger than, like an inch and a half. It had froze, and the crystals, the LCD stands for liquid crystal display. So the liquid crystal froze in my quarter-mile walk from my house to my school. It was -9 degrees. And this is with the CD player tucked into my pocket. That's how cold it was. It was cold. It was cold. And, my dad lost his freaking mind, of course. But that's the way it is. So, I could see -20. Could you freeze in place if you died? I guess if the snow was soft enough. I don't know. Think about that. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to use the restroom, and I will be right back. Stay tuned, folks. Hello, friends. I have returned. Oh, to the land of the living. Yes, the bathroom. It is there. It continues to be there. All right. Okay. So we've come to part 4. Part 4. We're about half through the script here. We might get this thing done tonight. It's hard to say. Oh, geez. Part 4. So this is page 10 of 26 pages of research for tonight. It might not be. It's hard to say. We're gonna find out. So let's start back with some creepy storytelling. Nine dead hikers, a slash tent, a flight into the dark, massive internal injuries with no external wounds, radiation, missing eyes, a missing tongue, an unspeakable silence wrapped in snow. By the time the Soviet Union quietly closed the Dyatlov case in May of 1959, their explanation, quote, a compelling natural force, offered no comfort. It didn't just fail to answer the questions, it asked new ones. In the decades since, dozens of theories have emerged, some scientific, some conspiratorial, some bordering on the supernatural. Tonight, we will continue to walk the knife's edge between reason and madness, through forests of speculation and across the snowy void of the unknown. This is where the real darkness begins. The most cited theory by officials and skeptics alike is a simple one: an avalanche. The hikers were camped on a slope, were caught off guard by a sudden slab of snow sliding down the mountain. The weight pressed against the tent, prompting them to cut their way out and flee in panic, improperly dressed, desperate for shelter. Some tried to return, others headed into the forest. Injuries sustained from the force of the snow led them to their eventual deaths. Sounds plausible, doesn't it? But critics point out glaring holes in this theory. The slope was shallow, too shallow, many say, for a proper avalanche. There were no signs of an avalanche at this tent site. No debris, no distinct snow patterns, no displaced gear. In fact, the tent itself was partially visible above the snow when discovered weeks later. And the hikers were experienced. If they heard snow shifting, they would have calmly evacuated, not sprinted half naked into sub-zero temperatures. So if it wasn't an avalanche, what was it? Another theory emerges from the realm of experimental physics and meteorology: infrasound. So I will say, for me, the first time I heard the story, infrasound was a new word. It's not infa, I-N-F-A. It's infra, I-N-F-R-A. Infrasound. Under specific conditions, wind flowing over a mountain can create powerful low-frequency sound waves below the range of human hearing. These infrasound waves can induce nausea, intense fear, panic, and disorientation. Some researchers believe the configuration of the pass and the tent's location may have created what is called Karaman vortex street, an atmospheric phenomena capable of producing such waves. The result? A A sudden inexplicable sense of dread. A descent into irrational panic. The group flees into the night, overcome by fear they cannot explain. Eventually, the infrasound dissipates. Some of them attempt to return, others get lost or collapse from exposure. It sounds outlandish, but studies have shown infrasound can affect the human body this way. Still, can it account for the crushed ribs, skulls, removed eyes, and the removed tongue? Very, very unlikely. Very unlikely. So, next on the paranormal bingo, if you're keeping track, is paradoxal undressing and hypothermia. It's a mouthful, I know. But this is a normal reaction to when the human body is pushed to its limits. Hypothermia is a merciless killer. It plays tricks on the brain. In its final stages, victims sometimes experience a phenomenon known as paradoxal undressing, where the freezing body, confused, begins to feel overheated. The victim then strips off their clothes in the snow or cold, believing they are burning up. That could explain why some of the hikers were partially undressed, but not why they left the tent in the first place, nor does it explain the massive trauma. And remember, some of the dead were better dressed than the others. Some had layers, others did not. That suggested the group was alive and moving around after the initial event, redistributing clothing in an attempt to survive. Tragic accident? Or the aftermath of something more terrifying? So, next we have the next quote-unquote conspiracy theory that we're going to cover is military tests in radiological weapons. Because now we have theories that point the finger at the Soviet military. In the 1950s, this part of the Urals was a playground for secret tests, parachute mines, chemical dispersal, radiological weapons. The presence of radioactive material on some of the clothes adds fuel to the fire. Could the hikers have stumbled into the wrong place at the wrong time? Some locals reported bright orange orbs in the sky around the time of the incident, possible flares or experimental aircraft. Others suggest parachute mines could have caused the fatal injuries, an airburst weapon strong enough to crush bones without external wounds. The state's behavior afterward, strange to say the least. Though authorities sealed the records, witnesses were silenced, and for decades the discussion of the Dyatlov Pass incident was discouraged or ignored. Yet no known weapons lined up perfectly with the evidence. And why leave the bodies? Why not erase the traces entirely, unless they couldn't? And then there are those who whisper about things not bound by science or the known. UFOs, Yeti attacks, native spirits. The Mansi, the indigenous people of the region, believe that the mountains are sacred, that certain places are cursed. The name of the mountain literally translates to Mountain of the Dead. Some believe that the group disturbed something ancient, something forbidden. Others point to shadowy figures captured in one of the last photographs taken, barely visible through the trees. Pareidolia, maybe, or something else. Do I have that picture? Let me see. I think I have the picture. I don't, but I'm going to find it right quick. Where is it? Where is it? Let me switch scenes. Hold on. Here we go. All right, come on. Here it is. Oh, I think this is the official photo. So, I mean, looking at this gives me kind of chills. I can see. We're going to save this in the file. I want to see it up close. So, being a shadowy figure, I get it. However, clear delineation between the head, the torso, and the legs. This very well may be just a guy in a coat in a, you know what I mean? That one of them from the freaking expedition. Yeah, because look at these guys. Clear delineation between the head, the torso, and the legs. All of them except the guys that are wearing one solid color. Light colored jacket, dark colored pants. Light colored jacket, dark colored pants. Light colored jacket, dark colored pants. Clear delineation between the head, the torso, and the legs. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them that kind of fit that mold. Yeah, look, here's the. Yeah. Clear delineation. Head, torso, legs. I don't see this being anything than a person. However, I don't see like a zipper, like a seam for the coat. So that makes me wonder just a little bit. Just a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. I mean, even off at a distance, you would still see something that would delineate the line in the center of the coat. But (1950s), late 1950s, 1959. So the camera they're using is probably mid 1950s. Oh, geez. Let's look and see. I'm sure I have a camera from the 1950s. Russian camera from 1955. Okay, so I have something very similar to this. I don't have this one precisely. So this is a little bit more. I wouldn't say it was an easy camera to use. You do still have to have some kind of technical know-how when it comes to using this camera, because you have field of view, focus, aperture, all this other stuff. So I don't see. We have this preconceived idea about when we use our camera on our phone, that when we take a picture, we just hold it up, press a button, it's done. There's so much that the phone does for us that we don't realize, that a lot of people that don't have much or any training with traditional photography understand. So in order to get this photo as clear as it is, even though it is, don't get me wrong, unclear, it is fuzzy, it depends on what picture was taken beforehand. So if he had taken a picture that was, because I'm seeing like a lot of the stuff in the foreground is generally focused, like focused enough that I could see individual parts of this plant. if I had taken a photo that is meant to be taken up close and I saw something that I wanted to get a photo of in an emergency situation, I would just raise the camera, take the photo, and then wind it. In the event of winding it, okay, so I'm going to go off on a little tangent. Manual photography is so complex compared to using your phone. If you're holding a phone, or if you're holding a camera, it's got a lens out in the front. You're going to hold the body like this. I should really keep a camera up here for this. You're going to hold the body. Hold on, let me change here. You're gonna hold the body of the camera. So there'll be a box. No, let me try to do this and not spill. There'll be a box. We're gonna say my phone is the box, and the can is the lens. You're gonna hold the bottom of the lens, and your hand's gonna be over the body like this. So you'll take a picture. This is the way anybody worth their salt would take a photo back in the day. Because this way, when you look through the viewfinder, you can adjust the lens. So when you up here, you take a photo and you want to progress to the next frame, there's also a ratcheting motion that has to happen with the thumb. So naturally, when you do this, the camera comes down. Let me stand up and do this. The camera comes down. Oh, excuse me. Wait, here we go. The camera comes down and you ratchet to the side. But when you do that, you're naturally going to twist. So when you twist with the ratcheting motion of loading your next frame, your left hand is also twisting, which is also twisting the focus. So I would be willing to wager that he brought it up to his eye, focused it, took a photo, and then tried to take another one in a quick succession. The first one could have had too high of an aperture, which means too much light was coming in. But when he ratcheted that lever over to progress the frame forward, very, very easily could have adjusted the focus, adjusted the range, and everything would have been just slightly out of focus. So I would be willing to put money on the frame before this was really bright. Because back in the day, you had to consider how much light was there. You had to consider how far the object was that you were photographing, how far it was away from you, and to know what the numbers on the lens mean. It is hard. It is complicated. It's not like, even in the 90s, there was, you put the camera up to your eye and what you see through the viewfinder, it focuses automatically. This was a camera from the mid 1950s. Can we find out what camera they used? Let's see. All right, first 9 photos of the frame, not related to the hike. Oh wow, this is all the photos. Oh my gosh. Oh geez, can we progress through these? So look, this is in a controlled environment. This is indoors, knowing how far away your subject is. And see, it takes the stillness of a child to know how far away you really are. It is so difficult to get clear photographs. Wow, yeah. So motion is a mid 1950s camera, practically impossible to capture. unless you knew precisely, unless you were pro level. Wow, this is them loading up into the truck. Wow. Oh, geez, I'm sitting here looking at these pictures. You don't get to see them. Hold on, here we go. We'll start over here. This is what I mean by in a controlled environment. You're only seeing like how still a baby has to be to get a photo of it. Photography from the mid 50s, horribly complicated. Yeah, like he's probably 6 foot away from this guy, and look how out of focus this photo is. It is. I can see like this photo, like they're walking away from a building, and he turns around and surprises his friend carrying a load over his shoulder. I could see that being the case here. So, we're going to keep this in mind. When you quickly turn around and try to get a photo of somebody, it's not going to happen. Oh, this is a phenomenal photo. This is excellent. And here's them loading into the truck. Them getting ready to leave. Yeah, like you see unless they're perfectly still, this is so hard to do. Wait, did we get 2 photos in a row, the same thing? Yeah, so we probably thought the first photo was out of focus because they were moving so much. It took a second shot. Yeah, it's a really small camera. You see how they've literally got to hold this thing up to their eye. Folks, you don't understand how difficult this is to do. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Just like I was saying before, clear delineation between the jacket and the pants and the head. All of them. So I don't think that the person standing in the woods was anything but a person. Somebody in their group or somebody following the group. I will say a lot of them appear to be wearing hats. That's weird. Oh. Markings left by local hunters. Journaling. Yeah, it's phenomenal that they were journaling through all of this. Why is his jacket torn up? Says just for laughs, he put on the burnt quilted jacket that belonged to Yuri and posed for the photo. Here he's posing again. Oh wow, yeah, it was horrible conditions. And that's our last photo. Says this is a technical shot made by the photo lab before the film was taken out of the camera. Phenomenal. I didn't know that they had such. What camera was he using? Somebody tell me what camera he was using. Okay, so this is not actually showing the mysterious photo, the one with the person. So they were probably using something like this, if I had to guess. Still a very technical camera to use. It's not simple. But you're still dealing with aperture, you're dealing with range, focus. There's several things you got to know about taking a photo. Look at these, all these knobs and dials that you've got to know what to do. Yeah, it's just I don't see somebody being able to take a photo like this quickly. I will say, after seeing that website, I don't believe that this is actually a photo from their expedition. So that's my official view on the matter. All right, we're gonna move forward. We're moving forward. I'm gonna kick the slideshow back off. All right, moving forward. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. I'm a little bit of photography junkie, so I'm quick to just pull some stuff apart. A few believe that the hikers found something, a relic, an entrance, a creature. That what happened was a cover up. That the trauma wasn't a result of panic or pressure, but confrontation. We have no evidence, but the absence of evidence in this case speaks volume. There is no definitive answer. No theory explains every piece. Not the slash tent, not the injuries, not the radiation, not the silence. Just snow, bones, and questions. So in March of 1959, the Soviet Union is silent, but the people are whispering. Rumors swirl. Parents demand answers. The official investigation into the Dyatlov Pass incident begins. But from the start, something is wrong. Details are kept quiet. Access is restricted, files are redacted, and the lead investigator, Lev Ivanov, is placed under strange pressure to toe the party line. What follows is not so much an inquiry as a performance staged to maintain order, to protect secrets, and perhaps to bury something deeper than anyone imagined. The criminal case is officially opened in February 26 of 1959, the same day the tent is discovered. Lev Ivanov, a regional prosecutor, is assigned to the case. He's methodical, educated, and loyal to the state, but even he quickly realizes this is no ordinary investigation. He's handed a mystery with bizarre injuries, conflicting evidence, and strange behavior, yet, from the beginning, there's an unspoken expectation. Keep it clean, keep it quiet, and keep it closed. Ivanov interviews witnesses, searchers, friends, other hikers in the region. He pores over journals, maps, and photographs. He gathers the autopsy reports. He notes the crushed bones, the missing eyes, the strange tan orange hue on some of the bodies. He's deeply disturbed. And then things begin to disappear. Some of the photographs vanish from the record. Witnesses' statements are edited or left out. Radiation test results, briefly mentioned, are never followed up. And perhaps most damningly, the final pages of the group's journals are missing. When questioned, officials claim the missing items were, quote, not relevant. Ivanov knows better. He later writes in private letters that he believed UFOs may have been involved. He believed he had been pressured to drop the line of inquiry. He was told, in no uncertain terms, not to pursue any theory that might cast doubt on state-controlled narratives or military secrecy. In his own words, quote, I suspect at the time I am now convinced that bright flying spears had a direct connection to the group's death, end quote. He never said this publicly, nor during his career. Only after the fall of the Soviet Union, in interviews decades later, did he dare speak openly. So, say what you want about
I'm
that.
not saying it's space aliens, right? But it goes without saying it's fucking space aliens.
From the outset, the military took a strange interest in the case. Specialist units were seen in the region. Geiger counters were used, then promptly removed. Helicopters were spotted in areas unrelated to the search. And the manner of the funerals? Odd. Families reported being told not to open the coffins. The skin of the deceased appeared unnaturally darkened, and some, according to witnesses, were heavily embalmed, unusually so for Russian burials. The bodies of the last 4 hikers, those found in the ravine, were kept secret for days. Even their relatives were barred from seeing them until the state had finished its preparations. Heavy air quotes on preparations. The medical examiner listed the deaths in the vaguest terms possible. Quote, hypothermia or, quote, trauma from an unknown force. One mother was told by an unnamed officer, quote, you must never ask what happened if you value your life, end quote. By May of 1959, just 3 months after the search began, the case was closed. The final conclusion, as we heard earlier, quote, the hikers died due to a compelling natural force they could not overcome, end quote. No further elaboration, no suspects, no follow-ups. The files were archived and locked away for decades. When parts were finally released in the 1990s, much were missing. Entire folders, photos, test results, typed statements that stopped mid-sentence. What remained raised more questions than it answered. So what was it? A botched military test, an encounter with a classified weapon, an experimental aircraft crash, or was it something even stranger? We may never know, and that's the terrifying part. Because whatever happened on the dead mountain was enough to terrify seasoned hikers, enough to shatter bones and silence witnesses, enough to send 9 intelligent young people running barefoot into the night, and enough for the most powerful state in the world to erase, redact, and bury the truth. Maybe it was something mundane. Maybe it was something unknowable. Or maybe, just maybe, it was both. The Dyatlov Pass Incident isn't just a mystery, it was a riddle wrapped in propaganda, fear, and decades of silence. But the world didn't forget. As soon, the incident would be reborn, not in Soviet archives, but in the minds of a new generation who demanded the truth. So coming up, we're going to talk about the modern reopening of the case, what's changed and what's been uncovered, and what still haunts the icy wind of the Urals. It's been 60 years. Time has worn away the footprints, erased the broken branches, and buried the remains of the Dyatlov group deep beneath layers of frost and memory. But but time does not erase questions. For decades, the Dyatlov Pass incident was a forbidden topic, a cold case too politically sensitive, too riddled with secrets, and yet it refused to die. Amateur research journalists, survivors, relatives, they kept the fire alive. They dug, they published, they pressed for the truth, and eventually the Russian government had to respond. In 2019, the case was reopened, not quietly, but with cameras, reporters, and a promise. This time they said the truth would come out. The Russian Prosecutor General's office launched a new inquiry into the Dyatlov case in February of 2019, 60 years to the month after the hikers vanished. They claimed there was no more political constraints, no more secrets, only facts, logic, and science. But there's a catch. They would only consider natural causes. From the start, theories involving UFOs, military testing, or government cover-ups were excluded. This was not a search for all of the truth, just the version they were willing to sanction. Still, the scope of the investigation was impressive. Satellite imagery, drone surveys, forensic simulations, avalanche modeling, and newly unearthed photographs were brought into play. The Dyatlov Pass was once again crawling with people, investigators retracing the final steps of the nine. And then in 2020, the new conclusion was released. The cause of death? Wait for it. An avalanche. That was the verdict. The new report claimed that a slab avalanche occurred sometime after the hikers pitched their tent on a snowy slope, perhaps due to a subtle shift in snow layers or accumulated wind load. They argued that the group's decision to cut the tent open and flee downhill matched survival instincts, not panic. As for the injuries, the simulations showed that a block of snow weighing hundreds of pounds could, in theory, cause the blunt force trauma seen in some of the bodies. Case closed. Or was it? So, I think y'all know me enough at this point to know we've got a little bit more. We've got a little more tied up in this. So we're going to re-examine the avalanche theory. Slab avalanches are rare, especially on the shallow slope where the tent was pitched. Moreover, if an avalanche struck the tent, why were footprints still clearly visible in the snow? Why was the tent only lightly buried? And why did the group flee in an orderly fashion on foot, not tumbling or sliding? Critics also note that the avalanche theory fails to explain the radiation, the missing body parts, the stripped clothing, and the severe trauma in the bodies found far from the tent. The 2020 verdict, like the one from 1959, answered some questions while ignoring others. It felt less like closure and more like containment. As the state spoke, so too did the skeptics. Numerous independent researchers and international scientists proposed their own models. One study, published in Nature, used advanced snow dynamics to show how a delayed slab release may have occurred due to cutting into the slope and a sudden snowfall accumulation. Another proposed that the group panicked due to acoustic signature of shifting snow, a terrifying noise in the night, combined with the fear of a coming avalanche. Some believe catabolic winds, ferocious downslope gusts, may have destabilized the tent and triggered a chain reaction of fear and movement. Others still return to the old theories, military testings, foreign agents, or accounting something not of this world. But even among modern voices, not a single theory fits all the facts. In the end, the 2019 investigation gave us modern data sharper terrain analysis, and improved snow science. It gave us more information, but it did not give us the truth. Because truth in the Dyatlov Path is fractured, fragmented, and frozen. The deeper we dig, the colder it gets. Maybe the hikers fell victim to a perfect storm of environmental forces compounded by human error. Maybe they crossed into something they should not have found. Or maybe they were caught in a web of silence, one spun by nature, but not one but spun by nature, but in men of power. The Dyatlov mystery lives on, not because we can't find the answer, but because it persists. And it resists being pinned down. It exists in that space between certainty and speculation, between science and shadow. And maybe that's where it belongs. So, theories in collision. What might have happened on that mountain? Should we do some more creepy music for this part? Nine lives lost. 1 tent slashed from within. Footprints in the snow leading to chaos. Crushed ribs. Shattered skulls. Tongues torn away, and no clear answers. It's a mystery that's haunted generations. Now, in this final chapter, we lay the theories side by side. Not to decide on what did happen, but to understand what could have. Let's return one more time to the mountain. Sorry, I'm trying to be more dramatic. Is it working? This is the modern official stance. A delayed slab avalanche triggers panic. The tent is struck, or nearly struck, and the hikers flee. Some die of hypothermia, others fall into a ravine and are crushed by ice and snow. End of story. But there are cracks. Survivors of real avalanches tell of immediate burial, not footprints left behind. The slope wasn't steep enough. The tent remained largely intact. And what about the missing eyes? The missing tongue? The radiation exposure? If the official explanation is clean, it's almost incomplete. And you know, who needs... The only person that needs a perfect explanation is the person lying to you. Think about that. Here's another theory. Catabolic winds, fierce, invisible blasts of freezing air could have made the campsite unbearable, even deadly. Or perhaps, as one Swiss researcher proposed, infrasound, low-frequency vibrations created by wind interacting with the mountains, induced a sense of panic and nausea. Could the group have fled in a disoriented trance? It's compelling. It explains the lack of external force, but it doesn't explain the brutal injuries, the crushing trauma, the ravine deaths. These theories may help, but they don't complete the picture. Now we enter the realm of secrecy. Some believe that the hikers stumbled into a weapons testing zone, either by accident or design. Parachute mines, sonic weapons, chemical agents. It would explain the radiation, the intense localized injuries, and the rapid state cover-up. Even the location itself, remote, isolated, strategic, irrelevant, was used for secret testing, but there's no hard evidence, no declassified documents, only missing files, frightened witnesses, and buried leads. In the absence of proof of suppression, or just the fog of conspiracy. So now we get to my favorite. Even the fantastical has found its place here today on Beyond the Shadows. A yeti, a cryptid stalking the forest. A dark entity half remembered by Mansi folklore. It sounds ridiculous until you consider how little sense the injuries make. Immense pressure, skull fractures without external wounds, the eyes and tongue removed. Could the primal predator explain the violence? Perhaps not. But the human mind, when pushed beyond understanding, seeks meaning in myth, and sometimes, just sometimes, myths echo real fears. Were these skiers found upon by a yeti? Would that explain the one mysterious photo of a being creeping and looking out from behind a tree? Could it be a yeti? Could it be? Show me a yeti and show me its behaviors, and I'll tell you if this photo is real. Could the answer be more tragic, more human? A fight among the group, a psychological break, someone snapping under the strain, or a misaligned, misjudged survival tactic that spiraled out of control. 9 friends, close knit, no history of violence, but exhaustion, cold, and stress can twist the mind. Still, this theory struggles to explain the tent being cut from within or the severity of injuries without external violence. Even the human angle doesn't tie the knot completely. So, what happened? The truth may not lie in a single explanation, but a collision of events, a convergence. Imagine it. An unstable snowpack begins to shift. Katabatic winds scream down the slope. The hikers hear cracking, feel vibration, and panic. They flee. Part instinct, part terror, but fall into the ravine. Some attempt to run, some attempt to return. And in the freezing dark, a chain reaction of cold, trauma, and confusion ends 9 lives. No conspiracy, no monsters, just chaos, just the mountain. And still something about it doesn't sit right. Not with the families and not with the experts. Not with the people who have studied the case for decades. Because when the truth is sealed in silence, every answer feels incomplete. What we do know is this: 9 brilliant, capable young people died in one of the most mysterious events of the 20th century. Their story inspired books, films, songs, and thousands of pages of investigation. They became symbols, not of conspiracy, but of unanswered questions. And those questions, like the snow on the pass, still swirl in the wind. Maybe that Dyatlov Pass mystery endures not because it can be solved, but because it remains and it reminds us of what can't be explained. It's a reminder that even in the age of satellites, AI, and global surveillance, the world still has secrets. The world still holds shadows, and sometimes people walk in those shadows and never return. So, I will leave this week's episode up to you, the listener. What do you think happened? What could have caused 9 people to cut their way out of a tent, out of safety, out of warmth and comfort, I have trouble fathoming this one from the get-go. It would take something very substantial for me inside a tent to pull out my knife and cut open the side and leave in an emergency. Was it parachute mines? Was it an avalanche? Was it a Yeti? Was it UFOs? Aliens? I don't know. It's really hard to say. There's so much of this investigation that was lost, along with these 9 hikers. 9 people went into the mountains and ended there. What could have caused these incredible injuries and left them frozen in movement? There isn't a lot that could explain the injuries, but there are some things. However, there are some things that can't explain the missing eyes, the missing tongue. And I will say that there is some research that was left out of this that I have heard from other podcasts where 2 of the survivors were found in a snow cave that they had made. The snow was deep enough that they dug down and carved out a space for themselves. One of those persons was the one missing the eyes. The other is the one missing the tongue. Is this supernatural? Is this the Yeti? Is this UFO, government? I don't know. It's hard to say. But I will leave this up to the listener this week. I know that the way the story was portrayed tonight was a little on the side of fictional storytelling. It was a little fantastical. I did not fabricate any details of the story. This is a real event. This really happened. And if you think you know what happened, reach out, email us. Let us know. Tell us what you think. I would be glad to hear it. You can email us at beyondtheshadows@gmail.com. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your idea is of what you think happened. We'll talk about it. I'll talk about it next week. Email me right now. We'll talk about it next week. I've got no problems talking about it. But no matter how you look at it, there is not one thing that can answer every question posited tonight. There's not. So think of it as you will. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. Oh, geez. What an episode. What an episode. This is one of my very favorites. There's so much more to this that I haven't told tonight that it's so hard to get all of the details across because there's so much. It is usually you hear about, oh, the shit is ankle deep. I can't get into every detail. Tonight, the shit is waist deep. I can't get into every detail because there's so much more. You know, I just appreciate you being here. Thank you to everybody that watched on YouTube this week. We've had a big uptick in media consumption this week on YouTube. Thank you for listening. If you like the way the podcast has been going lately, shoot us an email, comment on this episode, YouTube, Spotify, whatever. Let us know how we're doing. If you don't like the ambient sounds and the way the script is being written, let us know. We'll change it up. I mean, few people are watching anyway. It's fine. If you like what you're hearing, let us know. If you don't like what you're hearing, let us know. We will cater to the viewer every time. This format works really well for me when I'm by myself. So I'm just saying, if you like what you're hearing, let us know. Let us know something. Comment, give us a thumbs up, a like, something. Let us know that we're doing something good. I work hard on this, and I work hard on it by myself. I appreciate every single person that watches or listens on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, iHeartRadio. We're all over the place. I say again, if you want to email us, if you have an idea for an episode, feel free to reach out to us. We're freaking everywhere. But let me give you the email. We are beyond the shadows at gmail.com. Beyond the shadows at gmail.com. Shoot us an email. Tell us what you think about the show. Tell us your idea. Tell us your story. We'll read your story on the podcast. Don't be scared to reach out and see what you need to say. I guess we can. Let me go to the creator dashboard. Let's see if we got anybody streaming. Well, it doesn't look like anybody's streaming, so. I guess we're gonna raid my buddy Heffies. It appears he is playing what is he playing? Hold please. Broken Lord. Don't watch. So check it out, everybody. We're gonna raid my buddy, a buddy from way back, and I appreciate every single one of you being here tonight. And just remember, if you find yourself on the side of a mountain, lost in the cold, in a tent with 8 other people, and you hear something outside your tent, the snow shifting, footprints and footsteps in the distance, something not of your group, infrasound, waves that disorient you and confuse you and bring nausea and disorientation. Don't cut open the side of the tent and run downhill. What you should do is follow us. Beyond the shadows. Good night, everybody.
A creature like that. How would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Oh, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. It's horrible. Look like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.
Beyond the shadows.